Bore da pawb, agor y cyfarfod croeso cynnes I chi gyd yma. A warm welcome to you all here this morning to the Planning, Taxi Licensing and Rights of Way Committee. I'm glad to say that we are able to proceed. There was a little bit of nervousness a few minutes ago when we weren't quorate, but we are quorate now, so we are able to go ahead. Those of you more observant in the room will notice you've got a different face in the chair this morning. Councillor Carl Lewis, our normal chair, is accompanying his wife on a prenatal visit to the hospital, and I'm sure we all send our best wishes to the two of them. We have a number of officers present with us this morning. I'd like to welcome them all. We've got Carol Johnson here. We've got Colin Edwards, our solicitor. We've got Sam Johnson, Built Heritage Officer, Crean Griffiths, Kate Bowen, and we also have in the back there a new planning officer. We'll extend a warm welcome to you in Aled Williams. We look forward to you presenting in the very near future to us. And we've also got in the back as well, Claire, I always forget your surname, Claire Lewis. So a warm welcome to everyone here today and also joining us online. That takes us on to item 1 on the agenda. Carol, could you please do the apologies and roll call?
Thank you, Chair. So we've had apologies from Councillor Carl Lewis, Councillor Gareth D. Jones, Councillor Tom Colbert,
Present.
Councillor Angela Davis, Councillor Deb Edwards.
Present.
Apologies from Councillor Chris Ewing, Councillor Malcolm Pugh. Present. Can I just check we've got feedback?
Has someone got the microphone?
So Councillor Malcolm.
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry, that was Councillor Peter James,
Present.
Councillor Adrian Jones, Councillor Gareth E. Jones,
Present.
Councillor Karina Kenyon Wade, apologies. Councillor Jeff Morgan, not had any apologies from him. Councillor Gareth Pugh.
Present.
Councillor Edwin Roderick, apologies, but he was hoping to join us on via phone, but not at the moment. Councillor Edwin Roderick, apologies. Councillor Jonathan Wilkinson, apologies. And Councillor Hugh Williams, we've not heard from him. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Carol. That takes us on to item number 2, minutes of the previous meeting. Gobeithio ydych chi'n gyd wedi cael cyfle I darllen y minutes, in which case I'm looking for a proposer and a seconder for their accuracy.
Okay, can I just come in there? On the minutes, Councillor Josie Ewing was in attendance at the meeting, but at the meeting we advised that she was not going to take part in the discussions or any decisions because she hadn't been trained at that point in time. She was just observing the meeting, and I've not noted that in the minutes, so that just needs to be amended. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you for pointing that out to us. Thank you to Councillor Haylwyn proposing, Councillor Peter James seconding. I take it by silence, everyone's happy. So we'll move swiftly on to, where am I? Declarations of interest. To receive any declarations of interest from members relating to items to be considered on the agenda. Councillor Adrian, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I've got interest.
Can you put your,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yes, Chair, I've got an interest in the SEC application 23-06554. I'm a relative to the applicant.
Thank you. Noted. Nobody else? No. B, to receive members' requests that a record be made of their membership of town or community councils where discussion has taken place of matters for consideration of this committee. No. To receive declarations from members of the committee that they will be acting as a local representative in respect of an individual application being considered by this committee. No. And finally, D, to note the details of the members of the county council who are not members of the committee who will be acting as local representatives in respect of an individual application being considered by the committee. No, nothing. Good. So we'll crack on to the meat of why we're here this morning, planning applications. Before I do that, I would just ask Colin, our solicitor, just to come in and remind us all and confirm with us all about emails that have been forwarded.
Yes, thank you, Chair. We're aware that members will have received emails from parties relating to the applications or one of the applications we're about to consider. The Chair thought it was appropriate and timely if I just reminded members of what the protocol says about receiving correspondence relating to a planning application that has yet to be considered. And that is that if you receive correspondence, whether it be letters or emails, please refer that correspondence to the planning department, the planning officer concerned. By all means, acknowledge receipt. It's only polite, but please do not engage in correspondence with an applicant or an objector, just to keep yourself ready, able and willing to make a decision as a decision maker. I'll leave it to individual members to reflect and consider whether they have by word or email stated that they are predisposed to one position or another. If that is the case, then I'm afraid you'd have to declare an interest and not take part in a particular application. But just acknowledging receipt and polite conversation is acceptable, but keep it as brief and as neutral as you possibly can. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Colin. Duly noted. Thank you. Right, that takes us on to our first application, 23/0820/FUL, demolition of existing building and erection of a building containing a ground floor retail space with four flats above. And presenting this today, we have, whoops, what's happened? Priam Griffiths with us. Priam, the floor is all yours. Couple of technical problems. Can we all see the presentation? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good morning, Chair and members. So this is a resubmitted application for one that has previously been before the committee. It was refused at that time. The developer has, since that refusal, held pre-application discussions with our Built Heritage Officer, Sam, and has amended the scheme. The application now proposes 4 residential flats instead of the previously proposed 7, which has been reduced in order to accommodate a lower height for the building. So the application site is located on the eastern side of Gas Street in central Newtown, marked with a red arrow that you can see on my screen. The wider area has the River Severn to the east and various built development, including commercial and residential properties in the other directions. So as you can see on this map, there is a Paris car park located immediately to the east of the existing building, whilst the Robert Owen Memorial Garden is located to the southwest of the site. If you can see my mouse, it's there. Residential properties together with the bank tea rooms are to the northwest, and commercial premises being Simply Baby and Geraint Jones Solicitors are located either side of the existing building. I will now pass back to the Vice, who's going to introduce the first speaker.
Thank you very much, Brianne. Yep, we have 2 speakers with us this morning. And first, I'd like to ask Teresa Davis, please, to come up and address the committee. Just remind you, you have 5 minutes to speak, and please take a seat if you wish. Time's yours, because it's time's yours when you're ready to go.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm here today to represent myself as an owner of one of the listed properties directly affected by the motor world development. I'm also representing a number of other neighbours and local residents who are unable to attend, but feel very strongly about the impact of this development on their homes or on this oldest part of the conservation area. This is the first time I've ever objected to anything of this nature. It's not a habit of mine. I'm very sad that we're discussing this case here again today, but I feel very strongly as it's in such close proximity to my home. This development is going to negatively affect my everyday quality of life through the loss of private enjoyment of my own amenity space and garden. The frontage of my property directly opposite the proposed development is the only space available for outdoor family time and is often used by children who are under the age of 12. It is vital to me that their vulnerability is protected inside and outside. There is just a road and pavement which is 2 car widths between us. Currently, I'm not overlooked by neighbours at any time, but there's nowhere else to sit at the back of the house, so this is the only area to sit and enjoy the outdoors. My home and my garden is my sanctuary, as I'm sure yours is to each of you. I ask you all to consider for a moment, what would you do if this was your home and garden? Would you still be able to enjoy your garden and amenity space if you knew that you could be being watched from above from the newly developed flats? How would you wish the planning process to protect you if this was your home? I'm not here to try and stop this development, just to ensure that it is as in keeping as possible with our existing buildings and is sensitive to the privacy of the existing properties on all sides of the building. Just to add, the Tudor buildings and my property also currently have enjoyment of the views of the riverbank and the hills beyond, which with the height of the proposed development would be completely blocked. As the plan stands, the neighbours at Bank Cottage feel that there would be serious lighting restrictions into the Tudor buildings, which are already very dark. The owners of Simply Baby alongside the development feel it's going to be very overbearing and claustrophobic with it being so close, as well as taking away a lot of light from the shop and the offices upstairs. The neighbours across the river are very concerned about the roof terrace. They feel it will be very intrusive when the autumn leaves fall, as well as the additional noise it is likely to create. Other locals feel the proposed height is significantly higher than the existing buildings and with the other buildings around it, particularly the one it is attached to. There is concern that it is not in keeping and will have a negative visual impact on the neighbouring Robert Owen Memorial Garden and statue opposite. The orientation of the roof and the double apex draw attention to the height and make it overbearing on this area. Historic Buildings and Places, who are a consultee on planning applications which affect listed buildings and conservation areas, have consulted on these latest plans, and they've suggested that further consideration should be given to the height and roof form to ensure it fits with the adjoining buildings. As I recall, the last time this came to Planning Committee in March of this year, it was refused for 3 key points. It did not complement or enhance the character of the area. It did not preserve the appearance of the conservation area, and it would harm the setting of the listed buildings. Do you feel enough has changed in this design for it still not to be the case? With the number of objections that have been submitted and the advice given from Historic Buildings and Places, it suggests that not enough has changed. I have offered a number of solutions in my objection to all of the highlighted problems, which would not reduce the square footage of the development or the number or quality of units. I request that the committee consider asking Mr. Bryant if he would be prepared to implement some further changes in the interest of protecting my privacy and enhancing the conservation area. We want a building that fits in, as well as complementing and enhancing the area, a building that everyone can be proud of for years to come, rather than a building that is overbearing, that neighbours and locals resent. I would personally like to invite Mr. and Mrs. Bryant to come and visit me so they can see the issues for themselves. We welcome you to Mid Wales. In summing up, I hope that the committee will consider the above comments very carefully and come to a reasonable conclusion on my behalf and that of my neighbours, realising that especially this development as it stands would be an invasion of my personal privacy and the vulnerability of young children, which is surely at the forefront of the minds of all of us at all times. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Teresa Davis. Now I'd like to call Mr. Geraint Jones, the agent for the applicant. Mind you, Mr. Jones, you also have 5 minutes, and time is yours when you're ready to start. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to speak and support this application on behalf of the applicant. Following the last decision, we've taken on board comments raised. This included undertaking pre-planning advice with the Conservation Officer. As part of this, the scheme has been amended, including reducing the height of the proposal with the use of double gables. As a result, the proposed building is only around 9 foot taller than the building currently on site. The Conservation Officer is happy with the height of the building and comments there are a variety of building heights within the vicinity of the proposal, and whilst it is generally taller than its neighbours, variety of height within the street scene is not unusual and would not be out of location in this area. The Conservation Officer also confirms that the proposed building will be slightly taller than the timber frame buildings opposite, but shorter than that of the Natural Health Centre, with topography playing a part in this. In terms of actual numbers, the ridge of the proposal will be around 1.2 metres taller than the timber frame buildings, but around 3 metres shorter than that of the Natural Health Centre. It is commented that there is a rhythm of building heights in the area, and the proposal is considered to fit in with this. We are aware that objections note the use of dormers in the area, suggest that these were used in the proposal. Firstly, it should be noted that the current building and the 2 either side of it have gables facing the road. As such, the proposal follows the form of the existing street scene. Whilst there are dormers on buildings in the area, this does not mean that the proposal has to have them. Part of this is what gives character to a street scene, rather than a range of identical buildings. The pre-app also suggested that we incorporate additional detailing, such as chimney stacks, improvements to windows and doors, and general aesthetical improvements, all of which the applicant has taken on board within the resubmission. As a result of the amendments, it is pleasing to note that the Conservation Officer now supports the scheme. It is also pleasing to note that along with the Conservation Officer, all other main consultees are in support of the application, including Highways, Ecology, Environmental Health, and Natural Resources Wales. At a time when high streets are struggling, to see investment into Newtown should be seen as positive, with benefits not only the applicant and the future occupiers, but also local contractors and supply chains during the construction phase. Once completed, the proposal will provide a modern retail space within Newtown's town centre area, together with 4 high-quality flats. The proposal provides the opportunity to provide a building with a style to suit the vernacular, both the area and the town itself. The use of familiar materials, styles and detailing will allow the building to blend into Newtown's conservation area by the familiarity of these. As a result, we'd appreciate if you can follow the officer's recommendation and support the application. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones. Before I hand back to Priyan, it was amiss of me earlier just to check with all members they have received their updates back, that they've all had a chance to read them. I take it by your silence everyone has had them. So yeah, apologies for missing that out earlier. Hand back to you now, Priyan, to take you through to your recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. As detailed within my report, and as councillors will already be aware of from the previous application, the site is located within close proximity to a number of listed buildings, which are each marked with a black dot on the displayed plan. These are predominantly to the northwest of the site, and I have a photo later on in the slides of the view towards these from the site. The site is also located on the edge of Newtown Conservation Area. As you are all aware, the Built Heritage Officer did previously object to the development at this site. However, following the welcomed amendments, this objection has not been reiterated for this application. Rather, the Built Heritage Officer now recommends approval subject to conditions. It is noted that a number of objections still remain in relation to the Built Heritage assets, being both the listed buildings and the conservation area. However, these concerns are not shared by the Built Heritage Officer. So this slide shows the current proposed elevations for the development. These have been amended slightly over the course of this application to omit the render on the side elevation and replace it with a continuation of the brick that was previously only proposed at ground floor level. As can be seen, the proposal now shows a 3-storey building which shall reach a height of 8 metres to the eaves and about approximately 10.8 metres to the ridge. This is a reduction of 2.2 metres when compared to the previous refused application. Floor plans of the building have been submitted as shown here. The ground floor will have retail space, while the upper floors will each have 2 residential units. The roof will also feature a terrace, ensuring that residents have access to outdoor space. The majority of objections lodged raised with the height of the building and consider that the proposed height is out of keeping with the area. The height is proposed to be approximately 10.8 metres, and as can be seen from the street scenes shown here, it will be taller than the existing building and the immediately adjacent buildings either side. However, is not out of character for the area and indeed will not be the tallest building, which again will be shown in the photos later. So this is the first photo for you today. It shows the site on approach from Shortbridge Street. So you can see the Robert Owen Memorial Garden to the left. You've got the Motor World fairly central, Geraint Jones Solicitors to the right. You've also got a number of listed buildings between the Robert Owen statue and Motor World that you can see in the background. So this is just a closer up photo looking towards the site. Again, on the left hand side, you've got listed buildings. Fairly central is the development site, and to the right hand side is the solicitors. You can also see here from this photo that the topography of the land does rise from Shortbridge Street, which we saw in the previous photo, does rise up towards the listed buildings here before going back down again towards the other end of the street. So this is stood from the doorway of Motor World looking towards those listed buildings. As you can see here, we've got a variety of heights already within this street. The cream coloured, rendered coloured building that you can see is the tallest one there will still remain taller than the proposed Motor World development. Although, as the Built Heritage Officer notes, topography does play a part. As you can see, it is built on higher levelled ground. So this is looking further down Gas Street towards 7th Street, with Simply Baby here, fairly central in the picture. And then this is down then closer towards 7th Street, looking back at the application site, which is pointed out with the black arrow. Just this side, that gable that you can see there is Simply Baby. Right. So this is the rear of the existing building, taken from the footpath just the other side of the car park next to the river. Looking at the back of the building. And then this is the final photo, which is taken from the car park looking towards the river. There is an estate the other side of that river, as you will have seen on the initial aerial photograph. But as you can see, there's a lot of mature existing trees, which will break up views to the development and from the development as well. I'll now hand back to the chair.
Thank you very much. Members, over to you. Anybody got any questions, please? If you could indicate with the hands up facility. Councillor Highland Hume, please.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I want to acknowledge the fact that the agent has actually taken on board and the pre-app with the Build Heritage Officer, and that the advice has been largely taken. So I want, because last time I know I was quite critical of that. From what I've read, it's 4 bedroom, start again, 4 flats, 2 bedrooms, which is much needed accommodation, and town centre accommodation, which is absolutely great. I've noted the working hours have been restricted, which again, I'm very pleased to read, because as we've heard, it is a partly residential area as well as some commercial. I would like to pick up on a couple of things. You've not made reference to car parking. Where are they going to be parking their cars?
Who would like to take that?
We have got Simon Crew in the meeting. If Simon wants to come in at this point.
Yeah, so the building as existing doesn't really come with parking at the minute anyway. There is an area to the north elevation, which you can see on Google, that there's vehicles parked in. I understand that those relate to residents of the street rather than the existing development itself. So it's historically been used for sort of deliveries coming in and out, and for the storage of the bins. Obviously the site itself is in the town centre. It's in very close proximity to the long and short stay car parks of Gas Street and Gravel. I can never remember the two of them. Back Lane, there's Gravel across as well. So the site, as I said, as existing, doesn't come with parking, and the redevelopment of the site also has no parking. So there are on-street restrictions immediately outside. So there's double yellows on the same side of the carriageway as the development. There's on-street parking on the opposite side as a short stay, and as I say, the public car parks. Does that answer your question, Helwyn?
Yes, thank you, Simon.
You're welcome.
The other thing I wanted to pick up on was the photographic survey to allow an adequate analytical record. Why is that necessary?
Yeah, so that's been requested by CPAT as one of their the consultee comments.
All right, thank you. I'll leave it there, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haylwyn. Next, I'd like to bring in, please, Councillor Adrian Jones.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I remember the previous application, and I said that I thought it was an improvement in the area, very attractive development. And the main concern was the Built Heritage Officer's concern of the height. Now, that has been appeased, and he's happy with that. I would like to propose we go with the officer's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Adrian. So that's a proposal to go with officer's recommendation. Thank you for that. Now, I take it that's a legacy hand. So Councillor Angela, please. Angela Davis.
Good morning, Chair. Yeah, like my colleagues there, I applaud the applicant for now working with the council and making the adaptations that were requested to the plan. But just going back to the answer on car parking, I'm not sure that that does answer the question. So there is no car parking being built into this development. Any car park, you've got 4 2-bedroom flats, that's potentially 8 people, possibly 16 people. That could be 4 cars, 8 cars, it could be more cars. Looking at the photographs of the street, the on-street parking is full. There isn't room for more cars. And I certainly know in my ward, residents are not happy to pay in local authority paid car parking. So I still don't see where the cars are going to park. I do think when we're building new developments, people have cars and they need to go somewhere, and I'm not clear where they're going to go. Second to that, on the plans, I'm not clear where the bins and the recycling boxes are going to go. I think the design of these buildings is really attractive, and it would really look awful if all along the street outside the front are a row of dustbins and recycling boxes. So is that, I couldn't work out on the plan where they're going to go. And then my third one, if I just get my questions over and done with and then they can be answered, is about the height, because the main objections, although there are 9 letters, whatever, in support of the building, which is fantastic, there are still 51 objections. And that seems to be about the height and loss or perceived loss of privacy of the neighbours. And I think we do need to explore that. What are the rules in terms of, I don't know, distance for somebody looking in your garden or your house or whatever? Is that a planning consideration? Yeah. So I'll leave it there, Chair. There's a bit to unpick.
We'll return on to the car parking as Angela wasn't quite satisfied.
Yeah.
What does policy state now in relation to build in the town centre in relation to car parking?
So the consideration with parking, and I'm sure Simon will jump in correct me if I'm wrong here. The existing use and the existing building does play a part in consideration. So at the moment there is, whilst we recognise the motor world has ceased to operate, the lawful planning use is still as a commercial premises. So in theory, somebody could buy that property tomorrow and start operating a retail use from there. With that retail use, there would be customers, there would be people visiting the site, which would also be looking to park their car somewhere. So you're looking at the existing vehicular movements and what they could lawfully have if they were operating a retail premises compared to the proposed vehicle movements and what we would expect and anticipate with the proposed use as well. So ultimately, they've got what you can call as a trade-off between the two, as in what's proposed is no worse than what's existing. And that's, is a material consideration then when we're looking at the application. Does that answer your question in the first part?
Well, I totally understand what you're saying, but I'm looking at the photograph that has the motor world and the fencing alongside, and it's clear there's a drop curb there that customers of motor world were able to go into the motor world car park effectively off-road. So it doesn't quite stand that customers of motor world were parking on the road, because there is space alongside that existing building for them to pull off-road. So,
I think we've come across this in previous applications where there hasn't been parking offered because of the location of the site as well. So in addition to the previous building and whatever uses that had, that's taken on board as well. Colin, do you want to add anything here?
Nothing to add, thanks, Chair. Nothing to add, thanks, Chair.
Chair, if I could possibly just come in on that, the area that's on the north elevation, whilst has essentially been used by for the parking of vehicles, it seems to be in the evening and it's not related to the site itself. So it's people that are parking there, but haven't, or from my understanding, don't have permission of the landowner to park there. In relation to the on-street parking, obviously the Google Street View gives you a single capture. And as we know of all town centres and city centres, when you go to places like Glasgow, Birmingham, London, etc., you will drive round and there are spaces available. You could drive round and there are no spaces. You go round the block and you come back and the space is available. So people will use on-street as a short stay, essentially like a short stay car park. So they'll maybe park up there, pop into the post office. They could be in the post office 10 minutes, come back out in the car, gone. You could come round the corner and get that space. But the part on the north elevation, the reason why the drop curb is there, my understanding is for the removal of the bins to come in and out, and also when the deliveries were coming in, quite often they'd be in those sort of like cages that you see in the likes of Tesco. So it's getting them off the road and onto an area that they can then unload into the shop. My understanding is that it was never intended to be used as a car park. And the other thing is the visibility from there is virtually zero. And as a highway authority, we wouldn't be encouraging people to park in a location like that where they're coming out and they have no view either side. So you get pedestrians walking in both directions and any emerging vehicles would not be able to see those people. Does that give you a better answer, a clearer answer?
Yeah, I suppose it does. What you're saying is this meets the current requirement. It just seems slightly bonkers. I understand when most of our towns and villages were built, people didn't even have cars, so parking wasn't a consideration. So it seems to me maybe planning rules need to be changed from the modern way we live. But yeah, you've explained that it meets the current requirement. So
yeah, there's also like another consideration which we touched on, which is because this has an extant commercial use, we have to factor in the likely movements from that commercial use and compare that to what the proposed use is. And our consideration is that the movements that are likely to occur with the extant commercial use will be greater than what it will for a residential use. I appreciate there's also a commercial use with the proposed. But with the likes of the commercial use, you would expect deliveries to come in quite large vehicles. The likelihood is that with the residential especially, which is the main point that seems to be focused on, the likelihood of them having regular HGV deliveries is very slim, or even regular 7.5 ton deliveries is very slim. So if you think about your own dwellings or the places where you live, the frequency of you having a delivery of that size is very low. Whereas if you think of a commercial building, especially in a town centre location, we've all seen them when there's been 7.5, 12, 16 plus ton vehicles delivering to whether it's a pub, a shop, the news agents, a fast food outlet. So the frequency of those types of movements will reduce should this development be allowed. The other thing, just to touch on your other point, which was the refuse and recycling, they've got an internal bins.
Before you go on to that, can I just ask Councillor Hyland or Councillor Peter, do you want to raise anything regarding the parking? I can see your hands are up. And if you do, I'd like to bring in one way. In what? So can I bring Peter in now if he's got something relevant as we're on that subject of the parking?
Okay, thank you, Chair, and thank you for the presentation to the officer. Can I just ask, under the climate and nature of a powers that we're going to hit net zero 2030, has the agent introduced any renewables to the planning application in any way?
Sorry, we're parking.
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 Yeah, well, you know, for renewable charging or anything.
We're just discussing parking.
Yeah, all right, okay, well, I was just wondering if that was locked into
I'll
it
bring
as
you
well.
back in there. Sorry,
Okay,
we're
sorry.
specifically about parking spaces
Okay,
now.
sorry.
Hyland?
Yes, thank you for allowing me to come back in. On reflection, I understand the car parking, and because thinking back what we've previously approved in Newtown, and especially Back Lane, where we have, I think it's a 3-story block of apartments, there was no parking attached to that either. So I understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Hyland. Right. Are you happy, Angela, that we move on to your?
yeah. As I say, I think you've explained what the regulation and it meets the rules as they currently stand. So yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you, thank you.
To come back in on your second question, which was in relation to the bins and the storage and things, I've got up on my screen the floor plans. So sorry, I can't zoom in any further than this, but on the ground floor plan, which is the top left-hand corner, on the side elevation here, you'll see the door coming into the building. Before you've got 2 sets of double doors here, that is the bin store. So the bins are proposed to be internal on the ground floor of the building.
Lovely.
Rian, can I just add to that? So as you come back out of the building towards the footway, and you've got the planted screening, just in front of that, they've also included an area that the bins and boxes can be left for the collection itself. So it then means that the Powys County Council refuse operators don't physically go into the building. They collect it from the curbside as they would for others.
Lovely. That explains lovely. I could see the planting and I could see the cycle rack, so I couldn't quite understand where the space was, but thank you. That's fully explained. Yeah.
Lovely.
So the last one is just about the height and the whether it overlooks, you know, what the rules are in terms of overlooking the properties, because that seems to be the objector's main sort of issue.
Yeah, so as I said, look, most of the objections are in relation to the height. Some of them have also raised overlooking. With height, loss of light, considerations like that, there's what we call the 25-degree rule, which is contained within the residential design guide, which is a supplementary planning guidance document. So that details the general height of a building in relation to habitable windows of neighbouring properties. With that also comes a consideration of the location as well. For example, a centre of Newtown is going to be very different to a rural hamlet elsewhere in the county. For overlooking, which was the second part of your question, there's we've built development in a directly facing scenario. There is guidance on that also contained within the residential design SPG document. This building, if I go back to that plan, so the front of the building here is not directly facing the front elevation of any other buildings. So it's the buildings that are contained within the guidance to guide that in this case doesn't conflict.
Thank you, Rhian. Angela, are you content?
Yeah, so to clarify then, what we're saying is, so somebody's outdoor space isn't included in that. It's purely if you're building, if building A is looking directly into the interior of building B.
Kate's going to come in now just to reaffirm.
Yeah, just to clarify, Councillor Angela, the residential guide SPG does refer to consideration of impacts upon garden areas as well. In this instance, Rhian has addressed that in her report. Obviously, we've got a situation here where we're overlooking across a highway as well in an urban environment or a town environment, and it is the planning authority's consideration that the proposed development is acceptable on those grounds.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you. Are you happy, Angela? Yeah, good. Councillor Peter, please, and sincere apologies for cutting you short previously.
Can I first of all apologise for jumping the question, and also to the actual officer, and also to Angela, because I was jumping over her question. So my question is again on the climate and nature for Powys and hitting net zero by 2030, and as the agent introduced renewables to the plan, and can you just sort of alliterate to that, please?
They're just so well hidden.
Yeah, they are on the plans. You can't see them particularly from the elevations because of the nature of the roof. But
so they're the ones tucked behind there.
The top 3D image on the right hand side, you can just see them peeking out. So they've been quite well hidden within the development so that it doesn't impact the wider area. But yes, there are solar panels.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Peter. And I've another hand up, Councillor Gareth Pugh, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to go back to this first objector was very concerned about the privacy of the garden. Whilst I recognise we've had it explained, could we just go to a photo? Have you got a photograph there or an image that shows the windows which are overlooking the garden?
Do you mean photos like the?
Well, or have you got any image showing like different in heights, say for the top window to the garden? How much higher are those windows than the garden?
We don't have photos of that.
Have you got a photograph of the street then, please?
Yeah, so that photo there shows probably the street as best as I can help you at the moment.
Yeah, you haven't got a photograph of the boundary of the garden which is overlooking?
Don't think we had.
There, maybe. Right, so it's quite a bit lower, isn't it? Until I saw that, what I was thinking was if in future that the objector was really concerned about this privacy, if a higher fence was put up there, but I don't think that's even going to mitigate anything, is it? And with it being in a conservation area, if they come back and said, oh, can we put a higher fence to screen it? How would planning feel about a higher fence going there with it being in a conservation area? Or is there anything that can be done by the developer to protect the privacy of this garden or not?
Hello, it's Sam here, the Built Heritage Officer. The erection of a fence in the curtilage of a listed building would require planning permission and would have to be done to suit the setting of the listed building, and also in this case the conservation area. So it would have to be designed to suit that, or I suppose alternatively what would be a planting scheme could be used but I mean that doesn't require permission, but I can't see how the developer can't do either of those things. It'd be for the owner of the property.
I think that has been addressed, especially in the presentation for the 25-degree rule and everything.
Yes, there we are.
Gareth, is there anything you want to come back on?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Councillor Hyland and then Councillor Tom, and then I'll hopefully Councillor Hyland, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Once again, following the debate that we've had on this, I'm happy now to go forward and second the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Councillor Tom?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I support this as well. I remember seeing it before it was touch and go then. I think it's quite a handsome building. It looks better than what's there now. And I'm very much in favour of supporting it.
Thank you, Councillor Tom. As we have no other hands up and it's been proposed and seconded, can we go to the vote, please? Carol? Hopefully it will appear, members, in your chat box. Not quite with us yet. It's loading. UIT gremlins. Apologies, members, we are waiting to get this loaded. We are still here. There we are. It's with us now in our chat box. Click on that.
My phone's not let me vote, Gareth, so I'm happy to do a verbal when you're ready.
Thank you. And your vote is, Gareth?
4.
4, thank you. Don't miss 5.
Right, Chair, thank you. So I've got 7 people that voted on the form. Councillor Gareth E. Jones, you vote in verbally for.
Yep.
Yep. Right, I've also now got another one online, so that one's 4, okay. 1, 2. So we've got 8 members voting for, none against, and 1 abstention.
Thank you very much, Carol. Thank you very much, members. So it's been passed. So we go with officers' recommendation. Thank you very much, Rhian. Thank you very much as well to members of the public who've taken part here today. Really grateful for your time and wish you all well. Right, that concludes the first item. So the second one, Carol, is 23/0655/FUL. Councillor Adrian has declared an interest. Yeah. Oh, yes. Are we core it still?
Chair, with Councillor Adrian declaring an interest, no, we go down to 8 members. So that means we can't consider the application.
Very good. So we don't need it. Apologies. So in that case, we will have to defer that until the next meeting. Am I correct?
Yes, Chair.
Which means we can move on to item 8, decisions of the head of property planning and public protection delegated application, delegated list. Has everyone had a chance to look through them? Yeah. Happy that we accept them. Hyland, happy, Peter, all happy. Any observations? No, thank you. That's good. Right, moving on to rights of way. Declarations of interest. To receive any declaration of interest from members related to the following item on the agenda. To consider a proposal to divert part of footpath 3 and 51 on land at Brynner Grice Farm, Ystrad. Anybody? As we thank the officers for their participation. Yes.
Yeah, just to clarify, Chair, in respect of rights of way issues, we are okay to proceed. A core rate for this part of the meeting is 1/3 of members, so we are well within having enough members for this application.
Good. Thank you for clarifying that, Carol. So as no members have their hands up, I take it we have no declarations of interest. So I'll hand over to Claire Lewis, who will present this to us this morning. Over to you, Claire.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the purpose of this report is to seek committee approval to make a public path order under the Town and Country Planning Act 1990, section 257, and it's to divert footpaths 3 and 51. The relevant planning permission is 20/1314/full, and this was granted by this committee in February 2022, and is for residential development and associated works on land at Brynner Grice Farm, Ystrad. The plan shown on screen is the applicant's public right-of-way diversion plan that was presented during the planning permission process. I appreciate it's not ideal to see the colours, but the route shown in red is the existing definitive footpath, and the blue line is the route of Bridleway 75. The length of footpath to the north of the Bridleway is known as footpath 3, and the length to the south is footpath 51. It can be seen in this plan that part of footpath 3 is to be obstructed by a detention basin, which is part of the development's drainage infrastructure. The green line is the route of the alternative footpath to be created. And this is the proposal plan as it stands. There was an initial proposal which was changed during the consultation process. So just for clarity, it's the plan Appendix C, which we are moving forward with. So the diversion proposal affects land owned by Morgan Construction and a private landowner who has consented to the proposal. And the proposal moves parts of footpaths 51 and 3 onto a newly created footway along the main access road into the development. And there will be drop curbs and traffic calming measures where the footpath and the bridleway cross the carriageway. So we need to be, to make an order, it has to be shown to be necessary to do so in order for the development to be carried out in accordance with the planning permission granted. So if an order is made and then opposed and submitted to PEDO, the inspector would consider wider issues, including the suitability of the proposed new route, in deciding whether the order should be confirmed or not. However, they will not reopen the matter of the planning merits of the development itself. The photo on screen is from the main A4067, looking out towards, you can see to the right, there's a road which leads to the Brynnegroes Farm and the development site. The road that bears to the left is what is described as the Hall Road. The actual proposed footpath will come across this access road, and that's points C to D on the proposal plan. So if we were to take the road to the right, this is the view around the corner, and this is of the Hall Road. You can see in the distance there's a double gate. And it's just before those gates on the left that there is a path down to Coronation Park. And this is the route really, which it is not, this is the route which is described, which some of the objectors would prefer, but this obviously is not in the gift of the applicants. If you just, this is just another view looking back towards the main A4067. The definitive line of the footpath is just to the right of the photo, up the bank on the wooded to the wooded area, and that to clarify is the definitive line. This photo is, it's an old photo, but it's the view north along footpath 1. So at the current time, the footpath runs to the left of the track. You can see that there's a gate further on to the left where you've got the crossing of Bridleway 75. And then beyond that, the footpath becomes known as footpath 3. So Asprey Planning carried out a pre-order consultation on behalf of the applicants. The full responses are found in Appendix D to the report. Of note is that the local members and Astragunlis Town Council do not object to the proposal. The Open Spaces Society representative did object, and in his final response stated that he was not willing to accept a rural footpath being redirected along the proposed built-up area. The Ramblers Association have also indicated that they will object to the order, as they believe a revised version to make use of a link along the Hall Road is a better option. And to repeat, this route will remain on a permissive basis, but it is not within the gift of the applicant to propose this as a replacement. During the consultation exercise, the applicant has confirmed that they would reintroduce a stone footpath from the Brynnegroes development to Coronation Park, and also create a picnic area and provide some picnic benches within the park to provide a community benefit to the area. So it is considered that the legal criteria for the making of a diversion order is met, planning permission has been granted, and part will lie on the line of footpath 3. The development is not substantially complete. So to moving to options for the committee could decide not to make a diversion order, but this in event because of this, the applicant would not be able to implement the development, or committee could approve the making of the diversion order, but given the outstanding objections, there is a significant risk that the order may then be formally opposed. If a diversion order is made and opposed, it could then be formally abandoned, or it could be submitted to PEDU for determination. In the event that a diversion order is made, opposed and submitted to PEDU, the council can decide to support, remain neutral with, or oppose the confirmation of the order. Now, the council's stance does affect who would be responsible for making the case in support of the order. The diversion is considered to be primarily in the interest of the applicant, being necessary to allow them to implement the planning permission that has been granted. So I therefore put forward 3 recommendations, Chair, that an order be made to divert footpaths 3 and 51 at land at Brynnig Royce, as shown on the plan at Appendix C, that if the order is made and opposed, unless significant information comes to light, it is submitted to Planning and Environmental Decision Wales, that's PEDU, for determination, but that the council takes a neutral stance with respect to confirmation of the order if it is submitted, and then it is for the applicant to make the case for confirmation. Thank you.
Diolch, thank you, Claire. Members, over to you. Any questions, observations, queries? Councillor Hyland, please, and then Councillor Gareth E. Jones.
Yes, thank you, Claire. As was noted in the presentation, this is very much in accordance with the planning permission that was granted last year, so I'm happy to go with the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Councillor Gareth? Can't hear you, Councillor Gareth.
Sorry, Chair. Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, apologies. Just one point of clarification from Claire, if possible. In terms of distance, how far is the footpath being diverted, proposed to be diverted? Is it just a short distance or?
Claire, could you?
I think in total, it's an extra, I don't know, 20, 30 meters. It's
Yeah.
not considered significant.
Yeah, and it looks as though it's only, it's only going like 10 yards to the 15 yards to the right-hand side of the
And it
original.
obviously will follow a footway, which obviously, you
Yeah.
know, for public safety would make sense rather than being on the left side of the access.
Yeah.
road.
Yeah. When you're ready, Chair, I'd be happy to second this.
Thank you, Councillor Gareth. Thank you. Councillor Debbie, please.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted a bit of clarification on some terminology. It was used there, and it was used a couple of times. It's not within the gift of the applicant. What does that actually mean in layman's terms, please?
Yes, Councillor, I can just confirm that the applicant is Morgan Construction, but and whilst they own the development site, they don't own all the land surrounding that. So they cannot give permission for a footpath to be on someone else's land. So it's not in their gift to give the route that some of the objectors would like to see. So whilst, so yeah, hopefully that understands.
Yeah, I do understand that better now. Thank you very much.
Thank you both. Councillor Adrian?
Thank you, Chair. Just to clarify, the Ramblers Association especially is saying they're not objecting to moving the footpath, but they prefer another route. Is that correct? Because I see in the pack that the route may include some steps being put in. So they don't mind it being moved, but they prefer a different route, which is out of control of the applicant.
Yes, that's correct. So if we, it might be easier if I go back to some photos. it was mentioned in the report, and what the Ramblers Association want is the route to follow this Hall Road and back down to the path along to Coronation Park. But like I said, they don't own this land, so it's not within their gift to give that permission. So what they proposed is that they will upgrade the definitive line, which is through the wood to the left. So I think it's probably worth noting that at the moment, a lot of people are using the Hall Road to access Coronation Park because it's obviously and not the wooded area, because it's a more direct or an easier route. But obviously, the applicant has said that they will upgrade and improve the as near to the definitive line as they can, and that's why that's in the proposal.
Thank you. That's fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Adrian. Councillor Gareth, is that a legacy hand?
Yep, sorry.
Right, no problem at all. I can't see anybody else wanting to contribute. So it has been proposed and seconded that we go along with officers' recommendation. They were up on the screen. Would you be so I could just put them back up, Claire, save me reading them all out again. Are you all happy that I take them on block? Yeah, everyone's nodding. Everyone online happy? In which case, are we happy to go to the vote? Please, should be in our chat box. Yeah, there she goes. Thank you.
Sorry, Chair, I'm having troubles again. So when you come to it, I'll give my vote for it, if that's okay.
And what would that vote be, Gareth, please?
It's in support of the officer's recommendation.
Thank you.
So thank you, Chair. So we've got 9 members able to vote, and all 9 have voted for the proposal.
Lovely.
With officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Carol, and thank you, Claire. Thank you, everyone. Good. I believe that takes us on to the last item on our agenda, which is the minutes of the meeting of the Taxi Licensing Subcommittee, which was held by Teams on Thursday, the 30th of March. Present were Ian McIntosh, Councillor Alice, Angela Davis, Highland Hume, and myself as an observer. So we just want to note these now. Carol, is that correct?
Yeah, and it's just for the chair of the meeting to be able to sign them off.
So Councillor Hylowen and Angela, are you both happy with the minutes?
Yes. Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. Happy, Carol? Yep. Date of next meeting?
The next meeting is on the 31st of August.
31st of August. Oh. So that's right. Lovely. Good. Well, all that's left to do now is to thank everyone for their attendance. Thank you in particular to the ones who've come down to County Hall, all the officers for their hard work, and Carol and Colin as ever. What time is it now? 11:10. There you go, Carl. 11:10, and we'll close the meeting. Thank you all very much. All the best.